All right, I feel like my cup is running over today. I just got through having Bible class with a teacher, and something came out of me as I want to put this thought before you, and it may help you, and it will help. A few years ago, I want to tell you something. I taught sixth grade social studies, and now I can see my life kind of unfolding itself and why I had to teach this, because a lot of time when God gives you an assignment and you go through different, your principal tell you to do certain things, sometimes you think the principal is doing it. But if you are a child of God, then God is directing your path. Let me tell you something. I want you to think about this. A few years ago, you had the Hispanic people that speaks another language. And because of whatever was going on in their country, they decided to come to the United States to escape that. And at that time when I was teaching, I posed that question before the children. And I wanted them to know. I said, let me ask you something. I said, we were talking about the current events, and the current events said that if you were coming from Mexico and you were trying to get to the United States, were they right to do it like that? I just posed the question in front of the kids. And most of them said that the president and his decision was wrong, because these people want to come over, then he ought to let them come. So I let that rest on the table. All right, now that you're coming from another country, but then I posed the question, I said, so if I, being an American, want to go to another country and they have restrictions, am I right to go to that country and enter that country any way I can and demand that I become citizens in this country because I want to escape how I'm being treated in my own country? So that made those students, sort of pause. And a lot of times you can get a lot of understanding from students, from children. If you pose any question and they don't have any prejudices about their answer, because they don't know as much as we have learned to restrict or to dilute our answers. So a child would just basically tell you what he thinks is true, and it's pretty raw. When I saw how, and I told the students, I said, now, it's nothing wrong with coming to a place, but what is wrong is how you come. If I got to break the law and enter a place, then I have to be careful that if I did it at night, sooner or later I'm going to do it in the daytime. I said that because when I taught about when I taught about Canada, I've never been to Canada. But when I did teach it, Canada had languages that you must learn to speak before you got your citizenship. You had to learn to speak their language of the Canadians' language before you actually was given the right to be a citizen. So if you came from China, you had to learn to speak the language of Canada. If you came from Mexico, you had to learn to speak or you didn't get the right to become a citizen. But the United States, we decided that the president was wrong. And even though he was trying to, his methodology of trying to get us to understand what we're doing, maybe what a lot of people didn't like is how he was, trying to build a wall to keep them out. But let me tell you what happened. Now, I'm just a citizen. I'm just a person minding my own business. But as a teacher, I'm saying right is right and wrong is wrong. If I want to go to Africa and they have restrictions of their land, then they've never let me come over there and just do what I did, and all of a sudden then the benefits of that country are now mine. Because there's a right way to do what's right. I went to the Bahamas And they got this big old, when I got off the ship and I wanted to go in through this really nice hotel, them guys blocked me like they stood in front of me. You don't go this way. I said, I'm like, I look like a Bahamian, basically. I thought, maybe they thought I was just somebody off the street. And they told me I had to go in through the back. And then if I wanted to come to that hotel, I couldn't just walk in there and I'm going there. I couldn't plead my case. They were not interested. They said, if you want to come in this door, you're not coming in here. If you want to get in, you go through that back door. And they didn't back down. But what if I wanted to go in and I wanted to do like the United States has no boundaries. We just allow people to come in because they want to. It's a right way to do everything. And let me tell you why I'm saying that, because it goes back to the Word of God. When the children of Israel, what happens is, if God says go in there and destroy land, and you get lackadaisical about it, he said you're setting yourself up. Because number one, first of all, when you let somebody come in that speaks another language, and you don't speak their language, but they learn your language, they got dual language. So just like Canada said, if you come in here, we don't mind you coming, but you got to learn our language, because you cannot come in here speaking in our country, your language, and I'm sitting here, and this is my country, and I don't know what you're saying. For instance, I hired some guys to do my house, and they were not men of honor. They talked Spanish. My brother told me, he said, stop them people from speaking Spanish in your house like that. He said, you need to know everything they're doing. Say, in my house, do not speak Spanish. And I thought that was a little harsh to say, I'm telling them, because I know that they was in here a long time. He said, doesn't matter. If they are working for you, do not speak Spanish in my house. So I got a little relaxed, because I was like, if I worked all day long, but you can't get relaxed, because when he left a job undone. They were communicating, but they were taking shortcuts, because I let him go buy my materials, and then he was cutting corners on me. Hey, I'm doing a video. And so, but I said that to say this. What you have to do now is what God told the children of Israel. You just made your way hard. Because when I'm using a true scenario, not to down anybody, but to say there's a right way to do the right thing. Because when you add more to my plate or to my load, I got to carry you. Then the taxes goes up. And then the crime rate goes up. Everything starts shifting because I'm carrying a different kind of load. But what happened to the children of Israel was that they got entangled with people and they couldn't speak their language. They couldn't speak their language. If I can't speak your language, but you can speak mine, you got the upper hand. I worked with a lady, and she was the parent liaison, and that's an interpreter. She was the interpreter for me to the Spanish population. But because I stay in the Word of God, you don't run games on me. I walked into that school, and she was speaking. And I knew that I was not saying as much as she was interpreting. And I said, I'm bothered by what you're saying, because I don't believe that you have my back. I didn't take my tape recorder to table, because I said, I want to know what you're saying, because some kind of way this parent is angry with me over something that I'm telling her that she shouldn't be angry over. You said something to that parent that I know I didn't tell you to say. So I emailed her and the principal and I said, I want another interpreter. Because this lady is taking advantage of that position. And I had just started working there. And later on, I found out the principal, some kind of way I got a word from the office that said, you are a very wise person. I don't know if she had been told that what she was doing had been brought up before, but she was called out, and I called her out. You're not saying what I'm saying. These parents coming here too mad. These parents coming here ready to fight. So that happened like in August or September. At the end of the year, a little boy came to me. He said, he called me by my name. He said, you know, when that lady interpret what you're saying, he said, she's not telling my mama what you're saying. He said, she's not telling my mama the things that you say. And he said, in fact, she don't even like me. He said, when you say something positive about me, she tell my mama something totally different. And so I told her in the meeting while the child was sitting, shocked the kid. I said, little boy told me that just like I told you earlier, that you are not interpreting what I'm saying or this child is saying. And you're saying to that parent something totally different from what's being supposed to be translated. And the mama, and so she tried to deny it. That mama started speaking English. She said, that is what you're doing. Because she knew how to speak English. That lady was, all I'm saying is this. When the children of Israel disobeyed God, they set themselves up to be led by people who they thought were less than them. So whenever you do anything, now the people, they're not going to prosper. But if we don't line up with the word of God, then people who we think that are weak, the next thing you know, we'll get so hungry until we'll have to go to the weak and beg for food. We'll get just that hungry. That's how the children of Israel got caught up with Egypt. Because in Canaan, they got hungry. So they had to go to Egypt and spend 400 years there. Not because they went there, but in the story, they spent 400 years there. And God had to bring them out. So what I'm saying to you is, think before you act. Because if you live in a gated community, you know you're not going to let me cross that gate and get in there and demand my rights to stay in that house. And then you got to open up them gates to let me in because now I'm in here. I think what happened is we don't like the person in charge. So anything that person says, we count it as nothing. That's why you need the word of God. Because when we take matters into our own hand, God removes his. So I'm encouraging us that now that we have a dual population of signs, and every time I make a phone call, I got to go through the Spanish process and the American process, or the English, to get to what I want. We made things longer. We made things more, it's not as easy. Whereas a country that says you want to be a part of my country, you want my citizenship, then you must go, we got to do more than just tell these folks you got to learn to pledge allegiance to the flag. These folks got languages. And if we're going to be on one accord and not be duped, you better learn this Spanish. And I'm telling you something, I'm telling you what makes sense according to the word of God, because I'm watching, like the word says he said, learn from the Old Testament, because we just set ourselves up. Now, there's nothing wrong with people want to come to a land that they can live a better life. But if you come in the way, if you broke the law to get in here, go some to another country and do what we allow people to do to us. And see if we have set ourselves up for something that you can't afford. So the word that I'm saying today, anybody, if you got somebody speaking, I don't care if they don't have to be Spanish. Even when they doing your nail, them folks saying something. Anytime somebody can speak your language and theirs too, they got the upper hand. You go to that nail shop, you put your phone there and you just let that thing record until you bring this balance back to this country to say, I may not be able to speak what you say, but I got an interpreter on my phone. So be careful what you say, because and I'm saying that the people that read the word, these are the kind of things that you find in the word. Whenever you don't follow the rule, the game is forfeited. You can't play baseball and then change the rule in the middle of the game and then call yourself the winner. You violated. You didn't listen to the leader that says this is not the way to come, people. But you said, no, let them come that way. Now I'm saying you better learn the language. Because if not, I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to pay somebody more if you can sell my cookies better in Spanish and English. I'm hiring you because you gonna give me, I'm going to sell it to more people. We better start thinking. You better go to the word to find out who would Jesus vote for. If Jesus was casting, he had two parties to vote for. Which one would he vote for? We better get in his word, because I'm telling you, we'll be diminishing this whole country, and you would be just like the children of like Daniel. How in the world did I get here? And now I'm working for people that these folk ain't got good sense. And I'm not talking about people. I'm just saying what Daniel said. Not that they didn't have good sense. They were totally different from what he was accustomed to. Because when they tried to get Daniel to eat that food from the king, Daniel said, no, I don't eat that. I can't eat that. We don't eat like that. We don't eat pig. Whatever they were serving, Daniel said, no, I'll stay on my diet. And it wasn't because Daniel he was like, I let myself go into an area that I shouldn't be here because of my sins. And now I got to submit to people that we used to long to. Now they feeding us. So I'm saying all this because all of these types of things tell us how to vote. They tell us how to live in the word of God. So if I want to go to Mexico, I'm going to buy my ticket and I'm going to go through the line to get into that country right, because I got a right to be there. So if I have a right to be there, I just got to go in it the right way. But be careful that we haven't given this country over to not just Mexico. I just know Mexico because that's the assignment that I had when I was teaching. And I know how we responded when all of this happened. We are a compassionate people. We have a heart for people as a nation. But just because you have compassion doesn't mean that you're supposed to break the rule. You still need to know what will God do. Is this the right way to do it? Then we want you to come, but there's a right way to do it. I'm just saying. That's how I think.